The handprints? This, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, those are Mr. Samspear's handprints on the wall of his lodgings. That's right, my lord. Exposed as a result of the defense's independent investigation of the scene. Based on a wonderful new discovery in the field of forensic science by the great detective Mr. Sholmes. A great detective? Is that some kind of joke? Do you really think I'm going to be daunted by a man with such a ridiculous title? I should think the great bard ought to recognize such a title when he hears one, Mr. Shamspear. Hello! Perhaps we should compete for the honor of most ridiculous title. Ah! 'Tis Sherlock Sholmes himself! What are you doing here, great detective? Your usual haunts are filthy back streets of the capital, are they not? Ah, Mr. Reaper! It's been too long. It's been like 2 days. And I see your complexion has worsened since we last met. Mr. Sholmes? He does know our Lord Renzieks, then. Well enough to say something like that, in any case. Mr. Sholmes, get out of my fucking courtroom. Though you may be heralded as a great detective by the population at large, that does not give you the right to come and go in my courtroom as you see fit. If I may, my lord, Mr. Sholmes' newly developed scientific method has helped us uncover vital clues in this case already. Clues, you say? Blues clues? I call them skin prints, my lord. My method identifies every location touched by an individual under scrutiny. This is the man that was pegged on the evening in question. What? It's the method by which we were able to ascertain this gentleman's gas pipe activities, and I do mean that in a sexual way. Huh? You need only a small sample of something the individual has previously touched to make an indicator solution. In your case, sir, I used the teacup you've been holding. Elementary. And so now, Mr. Naruto. Ah, yes, me. What I am to use as a sample to make the indicator solution this time. Thank you for offering to help, Mr. Sholmes. When the convict was arrested, he was living in what is now Sasaki-san's room. We needed a sample to help locate Selden's loot that is hidden in his old room. What form will the sample take? A person? I could present Miss Green. I mean, fucking the key. But I'm sure her fingerprints are all over it now. That's gotta be it, right?
I think that's gotta be it.
What if it's the gas meter? You'll need something of Selden's in order to create the indicator solution to find his loot. And something the convict owned happens to be in the possession of somebody listed in the court record. Upon my word, Mr. Naruto, your powers of reasoning appear to be on the up and up. So, which particular person did you have in mind? From whom can we obtain a possession of the late convict Selden to create the indicator solution? Why, it's you, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes.
Me?
Me?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Right, I forgot. I had his model duck here. That we found that in the crime scene as well. It's a perfect replica of a life-size Great Danish heron. I knew this would be important, but I never gave it to you and never put it in the court record because I'm a dick. Anyway. Miss Green! Huh, me? What are you... this is so obvious.
Yeah, but everyone's stupid.
The key around your neck, if you please. Sorry? That key belonged to Selden. There will be remnants of secretions from the man's skin on its surface that we can use. Very true. That is the sample we need. Using it, we can create the indicator solution required from Mr. Sholm's skin print seeker. And find out exactly what Selden touched in the room that he used to rent. Mr. Shamspeare, as one great to another, I assure you. Your loud outbursts are unnecessary for this investigation. And also, if the late convict's haul is hidden somewhere in his former lodgings, I shall uncover it in no more than 30 seconds. So, Mr. Shamspeare, the truth is well within our grasp now, and as such, you will never get your hands on Selden's stolen wealth.
In that case, I'll gladly let Mr. Sholmes have this key.
No! Give the key to me! The detective shan't have it! It's over, Mr. Shamspeare. No! No! You're out of options now. There's only one thing left for you to do. Admit your guilt. Whoa! Oh, shameful spear! Despair! Be thy name! Who the fuck shot him?
And thank goodness Holmes got Miss Green out of the way.
They were balloons! I never intended to kill the man. I just wanted to drive him out of the room, that's all. So you'd have time to find the convict's haul of stolen goods. Yet after you killed the young man, you still didn't move into the room. I was wondering how many more people I needed to kill in order to get to the loot, and I decided, would it be worth it? Was it worth taking so many lives for like £1,000? Of course it is! Why? I was 3 months behind with the rent, for one thing. Mr. Garrett really has had a lot to put up with. And he had the gas repair work done immediately afterwards, putting the room out of action for a while. And then this Japanese man swooped in at just the right moment to sign the new lease. Poor Mr. Natsume. What unfortunate timing. Then, 5 days ago, after the incident on Briar Road, when the Japanese fellow got himself arrested, I thought I'd finally have my chance, but it wasn't to be. No, the scene was sealed off and guarded by the police night and day. And if I remember rightly, Mr. Sholmes spent the whole day in there reading books. I couldn't even enter the room, let alone search for the loot. Which is why on the day Mr. Natsume was acquitted and returned to his room, you once again tried your trick of blowing air into the gas pipe that feeds the stove in his room. Unbeknownst to you, however, that action would lead you into a deadly trap.
Fuck you.
William Shakespeare, how does it go? To be or not to be? That is the question.
From Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1.
Well, let me tell you, in your case, it's not to be. That is the answer. You deserve to die for what you've done.
Wow, she is really short.
Yeah, I know. I keep pointing out. She's so small. He's so cute.
At first, I really did think it was just a terrible accident. I'll never forget our conversation the night before Duncan died.
The gas supply in my new lodgings are a complete disaster, you know, Olive. The gas supply? Yes, the gas stove always seems to go out in the middle of the night for some reason. It makes it quite hard to breathe in here. It's a good thing I have very healthy lungs.
That's no joke. They say it's the convict's curse. Oh, Duncan, please don't stay there. I don't care how cheap it is, just move in with me, seriously.
Alright then, if it's that important to you, I'll start looking for a new place. There are spare rooms at my...
There are spare rooms in my house. Why don't you leave that horrible room tonight?
No, I'd better not. We said we'd wait until we were married before we told our parents, remember?
But that was the last time we ever spoke. That very night you fell victim to the gas. If only I'd known what was going to happen, I'd have insisted he left that horrible room that instant. But instead, all I've been left with is bitter regret. I stopped going to school, but something kept drawing me back to the house on Briar Road.
Did you toot?
No.
I saw a stooped Middle Eastern looking man with a mustache coming out of the house one day when I was there. He walked up the road to Grubb's Grubbery for some food, so I followed him and sat myself down next to him. He had some watery looking soup and started to pick a quarrel with the publican.
The place is cursed, I tell you, cursed! The ghost of that convict who used to live there is trying to suffocate me! I wake up in the middle of the night freezing to death because the stove has gone out. The room is full of gas, I can hardly breathe. But the pipes have been checked, no problem there. It's like I'm the problem. That's what they're thinking.
But how could that be? Duncan was gone and... Now this man had almost suffered the same fate. Could it really be a curse? Then I remembered. The rumor I'd heard about how the gas companies go around investigating the gas installations.
A rumor? Ah, you mean...
Yes, everybody's heard the stories, it seems, about how they go around checking the pipes.
How anything connected to the gas can be extinguished by blowing air into the pipework.
That's when it started. A little flickering of doubt in the back of my mind that just wouldn't go away. Was it really an accident, though?
What's that?
Oh, I'm just gonna play Plasmophobia with Dan.
Okay.
Once I'd had the idea, it wouldn't leave me alone. Plagued me day and night. So I bought this at one of the black markets in the East End.
A black market?
I'd never been. I just heard people talk about them. And you really can buy anything you can think of there. In some ways, being able to get my hands on this so easily made me even more determined. I had to find out one way or another. Was Duncan's death an accident, or was it murder?
And your chosen method for establishing the truth was simple, but highly effective. Smear poison on the gas pipe you suspected the man of tampering with, and wait. If Mr. Shamspeare was innocent, nothing would come of what you'd done. Well, you'd poison a gas inspector. Smack.
Crick. Crick.
But if he was guilty, he would pay for his crimes dearly.
I found out the name of the man I suspected, William Shamspeare. And then I wrote him this little note. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. If he'd done it, I knew that would worry him enough so he'd be sure to go. so I waited to see if it worked.
And of course, Mr. Shamspear followed the instructions to the letter.
I worked out where the gas pipe was straight away. There's a piece of sideways wood over it. So I smeared a good amount of the poison I'd bought all around the mouth of the pipe. All the time praying that the devil's work wouldn't be done. And it was all just some wild fantasy. Actually, no. All the time praying the devil's work would be done, and that the culprit would get his just desserts. Just desserts. Cupcakes.
3 days ago, when you first stood in the dock before me, this whole affair seemed relatively straightforward. Yes, my lord. I certainly never imagined the depths of depravity that we would subsequently find lurking behind the scenes.
It has been a long road, my Nipponese friend. I don't think we're friends.
I don't like you.
And one I certainly didn't envisage walking with you.
Are you trying to flirt, Counsel? That's not how you flirt with people.
Hey, here's my flirting.
It's just a fiddle figure.
Nevertheless, together we've reached the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. Miss Green,
Yes, my lord.
guilty. You will henceforth be stripped of your freedom and your clothes, and be given new ones.
Stripes.
Prisoner's garb. As punishment for the attempted murder of Mr. William Shamspear.
Yes, I know.
And you, Mr. Shamspear, you will be tried for the murder of Mr. Duncan Ross in cold blood, and the subsequent attempted murder of Mr. Sasaki Natsume here present.
Mr. Naruto,
Yes?
I don't suppose it's too much for you to be my lawyer in the subsequent trial.
No.
Yesterday at the hospital, when you and your friends stopped me from
Ending your life by drinking what was left in the poison bottle.
I wasn't myself. I can't even really remember what was going through my mind. To be or not to be, I suppose. That's a question that's so hard to answer, it seems.
Well, personally, I'm glad of your being here, Miss Green.
Oh.
And I'd like to believe that it's a blessing Mr. Shamspear didn't die when he ingested the poison. For your sake, at the very least. Blushy.
Because of you, I chose life, not death. And now you've made the truth come out at last. Really? I can't thank you enough.
Oh, Miss Green.
Enough of the heartfelt, touching stuff. I need to do my job. Or I fear I might cry as well. Yes, my lord. The court declares you are exonerated from all blame in this matter. Accordingly, I would call upon the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to present a verdict of not guilty.
We disagree, my lord. Not guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
What? Why? In that case, I hereby declare the defendant guilty.
What? Really? After all that, the jury can just fucking decide
so that's
what
where the confetti came from. And the fireworks! I forget about this.
After all that, the jury can just decide whatever the fuck they want? Yeah, it's really fucked up how that works, huh? Why would anyone ever choose to have a justice system like this? Anyway, court's adjourned. I can't believe that you can have all these professional people, the prosecutors, the lawyers, the judge, that study the law their entire lives, and they can argue back and forth for hours on end, but at the end of the day, the defendant's fate is left in the hands of some randos. They just pulled off the street. That's incredibly silly. I feel like this is not the advanced and educated judicial system that it's all cracked up to be. I'm seriously considering reconsidering my position in this whole affair. I'm quitting. I'm becoming I don't know, I'll make butter biscuits. I don't know.
I was gonna say, but I forgot what the guy was. He was like a police officer or something.
Gregson.
No,
The bailiff?
no. He was in the previous game, the first game.
Oh, the officer? The bubby?
Yeah, the booby. When we got booby.
Yes, at last. I can leave this wretched place. Divine justice duly done.
Divine justice. My dear fellow, if there were any divine justice in this world, you would shave that mustache.
The fuck's that supposed to mean? This had nothing to do with my mustache!
Some say that a luxuriant mustache is a sign of physical prowess, Mr. Sholmes.
Locum student with a trial to ask. Once again, I must ask you to defend me.
Really? How did you get accused of another murder? We just finished the other one.
I need you to defend me and my mustache.
Oh, God.
From being insults given to us by this Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Also, you've saved me from doom.
I'm very happy to have been able to help, Mr. Natsume. Congratulations on your acquittal. Again.
I'm going back home.
I'm going home! I was first acquainted with and gained affection for English literature whilst in our great homeland empire. And then, by a twist of fate, I was brought to the land that bore the fruit of that literature. Only, the city of bricks and mortar became my prison. Try as I might, I never found my feet here. In the end, I confined myself to my room and lived life through friendly old books.
You've had such a difficult a time, haven't you? But a week ago now, I dragged you out of that dark and dingy room of yours, did I not? I got you out of the house. I showed you the sights, the world.
Because I was getting arrested, you daft old fool. You did. And I've seen more life in this week than all my years to date. And for the first time, I feel I've begun to see the true face of the English that's so far been hiding from me underneath the wall of fog.
Y'all suck. I'm going back home.
My dear fellow, there's nothing special about the true face of the English, as you put it.
That's precisely my point.
Wheresoever one goes in the world, humans are human. There are few genuine differences.
Yes, I think you're right. I finally started to see that, and I've come to understand something. You're a dick. I've worked out why I was attracted to English literature in the first place. It made me see that whatever our nationality, we humans all have the same hopes and fears. We're all just doing our best to live.
Stop eating your mustache. Well said. I've come to feel the same way.
I've made a decision to... I'm going home.
What? Just when we become friends here in England. What a terrible shame.
Oh, I know. It does tug at my heartstrings, it really does. But I've decided that I'd like to take everything I've learned here in Britain and write something of my own. A novel of sorts, I suppose. It'll be about a cat.
What? How does that have anything to do with anything we've experienced here? I don't know, just like kitty cats. Wouldn't you write a book about a cat if you could?
Oh my! You'll be creating your own literature, Mr. Natsume. How wonderful!
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't presume to call it literature. Why not? When it is precisely the definition, Mr. Mustache. I suppose you're right, yes. It will, in a way, be literature. It's hentai. Hentai is literature.
Really, the moral of the story is that censorship denied us of the great hentai that Mr. Natsume wrote.
Really?
Yeah, because hentai is literature. Oh my god, it looks like just like him, too.
Oh my god! Got the mustache and everything.
Yeah. I Am a Cat is the name of the book, by the way. Oh, that's why he does that pose. That's why he does that pose. Because that's it. His fucking...
The picture in his book.
Not the picture in his book, but, like, one of his famous, like, portraits.
As now, all I know is that I'd like to try my hand at writing. I have no delusions of grandeur.
I, for one, would love to read your work.
Well, all things considered, it may be for the best. After all, you have once again emerged victorious. Third time's the charm. From a battle with the Reaper.
That's very true. And there is no salvation for a person in the dock when the Reaper is the prosecutor.
Desire to return post-haste to the perceived safety of your homeland is one I quite understand.
My goodness, yes. Faced with such a terrifying prospect. Nobody would consider that cowardly, I'm quite sure.
I gotta get the fuck out of here. But that's not why I'm leaving. I'm eating.
Objection.
And that was the case we found ourselves embroiled in 6 months ago now. So Saki-san did indeed return to Japan and submitted a report about both cases to the government. You know, actually, that feels way more like what should have been case 5 for the first game. And they were like, wait a second, this is a terrible 5th case. Mm-hmm. They're like, wait, we can't do that. I don't know. It still feels weird. I think 2 is probably the one that makes the least sense in the first game.
Mm-hmm. I definitely feel like 2 was the...
If you could cut any case, you could do that one.
Well, I definitely feel like what you said about earlier is that they
like
had
they probably
an idea,
had,
but
yeah, they had one,
too many ideas.
1, 3, 4, and then this case, and then 5 from the last game. Could have been the first game, but I guess they just didn't have the time, and they needed a way to write Kazuma out of the story. Barely any time later, Susato-san was given the news that she must return to Japan as well.
Just hope Minera Barrio rolled up carpet in the woods. Her boyfriend would have done it, but he's out of town. I'd be that friend.
Let's go! The only possible explanation that comes to mind is what happened after the trial on the following day. The day that we uncovered the loot
hidden by the now-deceased convict in his former lodgings. Oh, well done, Mr. Sholmes. How simply marvelous of you! To uncover the secret hiding place in just one day. Wasn't it supposed to take 30 minutes? 30 seconds, my dear boy, and I believe I told you. Skin prints are extremely useful in such situations. Wouldn't you agree, Gregson? I sure am glad I coated those fish and chips with cocaine. It's legal here in the 1800s.
Greg sees...
Oh, fucking...
Gregsy's been happily munching in agreement this whole time, you know, Hurley.
Happily? I thought perhaps humorlessly might be closer to the truth. So, it transpires the man fashioned a hiding place in the ceiling. What? Let us look then, if you're ready. Let's examine the late burglar's haul. Oh shit, it really is a boot.
It's a golden boot.
It's just a regular boot. It looks to be some sort of boot. Or collar.
And it's covered in blood.
A collar? It's huge, though. It's for a bloodhound. Look at all the gemstones.
Look at all the gemstones set in it. I can see why it was claimed to be worth £1,000. Perhaps I could have it as a belt.
Oh, have you noticed on the inside here, there are some dark stains? Wait a second. Uh-oh.
Think.
They could be blood, do you? I mean, there's quite a lot of it.
On second thoughts, perhaps I won't have it as a belt.
Then of course, there's this emblem here. A large letter B and a small crown. What does it signify, do you think?
I hadn't noticed that. A B for bitch. That's what Hurley put on his collar that he's making for you, Mr. Naruto.
Iris, my dear, I think you should leave other people alone when they're alone in their studies deep in the wee hours of the morning.
And leave my stuff alone.
Stop looking at my toys. My research projects. I am certainly not making a collar for Mr. Naruto here. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's a birthday present.
I feel as though I've seen that emblem somewhere before, you know. Where could it have been?
That's enough of that, I think. What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes? Oh, the color has drained from his face. I'm white. Well, Inspector, I believe you ought to be taking this, shouldn't you? Oughtn't you? It could be valuable evidence, after all. It must be kept safely under lock and key.
Get your grubber hands off that, you lot, and hand it over now.
Gregson, you need to lay off the cocaine. I'd never seen a collar that large before, and all these jewels certainly look to be extremely valuable. But that's not what stood out the most to me. At least, not once I'd noticed it. Those dark marks on the inside of the collar, those stains, must have been raspberry wine. I mean, blood, that too.
Well, that was a funny case, wasn't it? But it's all buttoned up now.
And you look very pleased, Iris.
I am, because I was starting to wonder what I could use as the basis of this month's story in the magazine. But this case will be perfect. It's been so fascinating.
You're talking about the latest installment of The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, I presume.
That's right, the mystery of the knife in the mist and the mustache man and the convict's curse, perhaps. I could make it a two-part story.
Oh, I can't wait. A word, please, Iris.
Yes, what is it, Hurley?
I'm sorry. But you can't write about this case. It's out of the question.
What? Why not? It's a great case.
Then I shall have to insist that you limit yourself to the first of your 2 titles. The second must never be written. Is that clear?
Meanie? Yes, Hurley.
Yes. Now I will go
And so it was that the second
do something
of
else.
Seki-san's cases became buried in obscurity.
There's voice acting in this game?
Now, looking back, I feel I understand. I can see why Mr. Sholmes forbade Iris from publishing the story. It would take a little longer before I saw the link between everything that had happened and would happen. For it wasn't until 2 months after the arrival of
There he goes. He's naked.
that events began to unfurl again. With an incident that took place at the very heart of the eagerly awaited Great Exhibition of London.
End. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Do you want to keep going, or... Okay. Alright, well, we'll leave off there. We'll start next time with the epic Return of the Great Departed Soul. Next time on Side by Side Plays. Oh no, I'm going to get crushed.
Well, it's my murder that we'll be investigating next time.